in the zone. And you know, when we talk about the zone, anything and everything can happen. And today, of course, we have a special guest in the studio, and we're going to be talking about something very important, something that everyone should know about. Before that, we played you Childhood by, of course, Michael Jackson, just to remind us of, of course, steer us into what we're going to be talking about today. I have the pleasure of welcoming to the zone Cyril Isi, who is a versatile communicator, youth mentor, child advocate, and human capacity developer. He's a writer, speaker, and regularly facilitates training programs for corporate, academic, and religious institutions. He's a committed agent of change and founder of TotalChild Children and Teens Network, which is an NGO that engages, empowers, and equips teenagers and children in order for them to fulfill God's plan and purpose for their lives. You're welcome, Cyril.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure having you. Of course, we're talking today on the show. We're looking at child sexual abuse, which of course in WHO you have described child abuse as when a child is either physically, emotionally, sexually, psychologically abused. So, but of course, our focus today would be on sexual abuse, which looks like it's on the rise now. And of course, it's something disheartening to imagine that people would want to abuse children. It's quite disheartening. So take us through, what qualifies as child sexual abuse.
Okay, like you rightly said, child sexual abuse is an aspect of child abuse.
Yes.
Child abuse basically is the maltreatment of a child, which could be physical, which could be sexual, which could be psychological. Now, when it comes to child sexual abuse, we're looking at a case whereby an adult sexually molest a minor, or a minor sexually molest a minor through the use of force for the purpose of sexual gratification or for financial gain. So the person might just have the motive of let me just intimidate this child, force myself on the child. You understand? Get some pleasure, or in case of prostitution now, get financial gain. So when it involves a case of an adult, forcing himself on a minor, we call that child sexual abuse.
Okay, and you also mentioned, which is quite interesting, that even when a minor forces himself or herself on another minor, it's child sexual abuse.
Sure.
Okay, by minor, for proper understanding, what age are we looking at?
Minor now we're looking from age 1 to 18. Any person that's under 18 is referred to as a minor. So when you have a child from age 1 to 18, we say that child is a minor.
So in the case of like a minor forcing themselves on another minor, is that as a result of trying to intimidate the minor?
Yes, it could be as a result of trying to intimidate or dominate the minor. Or it could also be at the same time trying to gain sexual gratification. You understand? Because we still have minors that are pedophiles. You understand? So when a child, now the minor in this case might be older than the other minor, or might be more powerful than the other minor. So it could be a case of a boy against a girl, whereby both of them are minors.
Okay, all right. So in trying to understand, this whole child sexual abuse, take us through, what would want to make. I'm looking at the adult and the minor now. What would want to make an adult want to sexually abuse? You've talked about it could be intimidation, it could be for personal gratification, it could be for financial gains as well. And of course, sometimes we hear the story of people who try to force themselves or sexually abuse people. Sometimes might also have gone through that process while they were growing up. So it's like a resultant effect of their own childhood, and more or less trying to look for a getaway or an opening, just to say, oh, this is what happened to me in the past, let me also follow in that trend and all of that.
It could be what you just mentioned now. Somebody who was sexually abused when he or she was a child. So because of the programming and the effect it has on him or her, decide to do that on another child. Now it could also be that the person is sick, suffering from pedophilia. A pedophilia is someone, a pedophile is someone that's suffering from a psychiatric disorder, which is referred to as pedophilia. So that sickness makes them to be sexually attracted to minors. You understand? Now, when somebody is having that kind of health issue, the person naturally will want to have something to do with a child. You'll be sexually attracted to a child. You understand? Then some other people will want to just to do it for pleasure. You understand? Just to take advantage of the child. But the child is just around within the vicinity. They just like, okay, I can just have some pleasure with the child. Because they know they can, they are more powerful. They can dominate the child. You understand? So those are some of the reasons why an adult would want to have sexually abuse a minor.
Okay, and another thing that we commonly come across, especially when it comes to child sexual abuse, is the fact that the child who has or is being constantly sexually abused, when the person who is the attacker, more or less, quotes, the defender actually like you mentioned, intimidates the child and says, don't tell anyone. If you tell someone, you're going to die or you're going to kill you. But sometimes we see some kids who are bold enough to want to break that hold and still report to parents or guardians. But we hear recently, I think just a few days ago, I was reading a piece about a girl. She put it on Facebook about how somebody was sexually abusing her, and of course she reported to her mother, and they told her to shut up because nothing like that happened. How come in reporting these cases, how come maybe parents or guardians, they try to shut the victims up?
You see, that's the problem we are really having, and that's why we are trying to create this awareness. Most parents, if the abuse is coming from family member, most parents will want to kind of ask the child to keep quiet in order to protect the family name. Sometimes when the child reports, and if it's somebody they know, they're like, could it be possible? Are you sure you know what you are talking about?
Yes.
This uncle you are talking about cannot do this kind of thing. And by trying to make a child to keep quiet when the child is being sexually abused, you are killing that child.
Yes.
You understand? You are killing that child. We should start having the culture of allowing our kids to talk and listening to them. A child cannot just come up and say, this person is abusing me sexually without the person actually doing it. It is rare. I don't think a child will just wake up and say, this person touched me here, or this person forced himself on me. But because of this culture of silence, we want to protect the family name. We don't believe that it will come from. Let's assume the offender is a teacher, for example, or the offender is a church member, for example. I don't believe that this person can. Are you sure you know what you're talking about?
Yes.
You understand? Because of these issues, a lot of the abuse, is being swept under the floor, and we don't get to. The kids don't get to talk about it any longer. They just bottle it up, suffer in silence, and grow up with it, and end up abusing another child.
All right. So let's be able to draw the line. What qualifies as sexual abuse? Some people, is it until you have the proper intercourse with the child? Is that what qualifies, or maybe touching the child, inappropriately and all of that? What really qualifies as sexual abuse?
Okay, there are two aspects of it.
Okay.
We have the touching and the non-touching.
All right.
The touching involves oral sex, anal sex, the vaginal sex, then fondling of the child's private parts.
All right.
Those are the touching aspects of child abuse. Then the non-touching aspect has to do with showing a child pornography, pornographic pictures. Now, then talking to the child about sex, then voyeurism, or taking pictures of a child.
All right.
A child that is naked now, asking the child to be naked, and you take picture of the child. Now, all those are non-touching aspects of child. They are all child abuse. If you touch the child inappropriately, that is an abuse. Even without intercourse, that is an abuse, and it's also punishable by law. If you talk to the child about sex when you have no business talking to a child about sex. If you talk to a child about sex for the purpose of trying to lure the child into sexual acts, that is child abuse. If you show the child pornographic pictures from your phone or from any source, that is child abuse.
Okay, I'm glad that you are helping us shed more light on it, because some people would not think that just showing a child or talking to a child is child abuse until the proper intercourse. That's when they believe it's child. But now we know that it doesn't necessarily have to be intercourse or touching and all of that. Showing a child pornography, talking to a child about sex,
oral sex,
and all of that. But of course, there's a clear distinction about you're talking about sexual education with the child.
That one is totally different.
Totally different from
that. Is totally different.
Okay.
So parents can actually call the child and say, okay. We even encourage parents to give their child sexual education or sex education.
Yeah.
Even teachers in school, they can talk to the child about sex education. But when we talk about the one that is an abuse, is when it's coming from somebody that is not in that position of educating a child about sex.
Okay.
When the person has an ulterior motive,
yes,
we say that is an abuse.
Okay, all right. So very quickly, let's also look at popular myths surrounding sexual abuse, because I know that in Africa we are purely cultural. We always like to attach some form of cultural. There's some form of cultural attachment to some happenings and circumstances. Let's debunk some of these myths associated with sexual abuse.
Okay, the first one I would like to look at is people always feel that a child cannot be sexually abused. Okay. There are some people that just feel like the child is too small. How can you say this man that is like 40 years raped a child of 2 years? They seems not to be able to fathom it. Okay. You understand? But one thing they don't know, that it happens every now and then.
Yes.
Where you have adults abusing, they will force themselves and even have penetrative sex with a little child. The child will be bleeding. They will still continue the act. So most people, they don't. There's this. Is it really possible? They want to only feel that, okay, a person can be sexually abusive as an adult. Maybe an adult rape an adult, or that kind of. They don't want to bring it down to the issue of minor. Then we also have this mind where people think that it is only girls that can be sexually abused.
Okay. Right.
They leave the boy child out of it. But boys are being sexually abused on a daily basis, even by minors. You understand? You see the ones that are in boarding school.
Yes.
Those government boarding school is just terrible there. It's terrible where you have those seniors abusing the junior ones.
Yes.
You understand? They will force them into homosexuality. That is an assault. They abuse. Most of these kids will grow up like that. They will pass through secondary school. They will not be able to discuss it with their parents.
Okay.
Because saying it alone, most of the time when they raise it, they're like, how can you say somebody rape you? You are a boy now. You understand? A boy. The norm is that a boy should not be raped.
Yes.
When you're talking about abuse, now you should go to the opposite sex, not you understand. So those are some of the myths that we have. Then we also have the one that says people that abuse children are usually the stouts. Area boys, those ones you see at the nights, littering about in the streets, they are the ones that abuse people sexually. They refuse to understand that majority of the abuse, in short, 60% of sexual abuse, child sexual abuse, comes from people that are known to the child, family members, father, mother, brothers, sisters, cousins. You understand? Then we have another 30% coming from neighbors, friends, classmates. Is actually 10% that are strangers.
Okay.
You understand? So majority of the abuse comes from people that are known to the child, not from the people we classify as stats or area boys or pedophiles. You understand? So those are some of them.
So in summary, an abuser, there's no you might not be able to recognize an abuser when you see one.
No.
There's no clear-cut distinction of what an abuser should look like.
Yes.
It can come in any form. It can be a tie-wearing person.
Yes. It can even be a spiritual person like people, a church person now, you understand, or imam, for example. We've had so many cases of pastors, imam abusing little ones that are placed in their care. So you cannot just look at somebody and say this person is going to be a child abuser.
Okay. All right. So now that we've been able to clearly define what child abuse is, the forms that it comes as, and all of that, what is the first thing to do when you notice that a child is being abused?
I think most times when you notice a child is being sexually abused, whether you are the parent or you happen to be like a sibling, the first thing is to try to let the child talk.
Okay.
If the child has spoken before and you kind of keep the child, ask the child to keep quiet, there's every tendency the child will not talk again.
Okay, sorry to question, but I think maybe where we should start from is how do I recognize? Let's talk about recognizing a child was sexually abused. Then what to do next? I think that's how we should do it.
All right. Now, for you to recognize, sometimes the symptoms are not specific, but you can know when. Let me give you some instances
yes.
or some symptoms that you can use to identify it. When a child that usually, let's say a child plays with a neighbor.
Very active.
The child plays with, and you just come and like, the child said, I don't want to play with that neighbor again, or I don't want to see that uncle again, or I don't want to go to that place again.
Yes.
And you keep wondering, why would you want to go there again? Why would you want to play with this uncle again?
Yes.
That might be a sign that an abuse is coming from that end.
Okay.
Then when you have a child that is full of life, playful, healthy, and the child is everywhere, and all of a sudden the child just withdrawn.
Okay.
No longer playing with anybody again, trying to hide himself.
All right.
That might be a symptom that the child is being abused.
Okay.
Then you have a child that is doing well in school, and all of a sudden his
grades drop.
The grades just drop. It might also be a sign that the child is being abused. Then there might also be physical sign, like you have sores in the private part of the child.
Okay.
You understand? You begin to wonder when you see a child, the sores, probably blood coming out from the child's private part.
Yeah.
That is an obvious sign that the child is being abused. It might not even be penetrative sex this time around. It might just be an adult fingering the child.
Okay.
You understand? Then you also have a case where a little child start having STDs.
All right.
You begin to wonder, where is it coming from? That child must have been abused.
Okay.
Then we have the obvious one, which is pregnancy now. That one is like the mother of all. The child obviously has been abused or been raped. So those are some of the signs that you can use to identify. And you also have the case of mood swing. A child just having mood swing. The child is quiet.
Down the next
minute. And you can see anger issue too. You understand? Those are some of the signs that you can use to identify that a child is being sexually abused.
So with all of these symptoms, it looks like the onus lies on the parent, the responsibility of looking out for that child. The parents or the guardian.
Yes.
You have to be very, very vigilant.
Yes.
Very, very vigilant. You're noticing a mood swing, a withdrawal, and all of that. Then you know that something is wrong. Now that we're able to establish the signs and symptoms, now let's go to what to do. Now that you know that the child is being abused.
Now, if a child is being abused, the best thing you can do for that child is just to show the child love.
Okay.
If it's the case where the child refuses to talk, you are asking the child, what is wrong with you? Why is it that you don't want to play with that uncle again? Or you don't want to go to your cousin's house again?
Yes.
And the child is like, no, I'm not going. And the child is not saying anything.
Yes.
You just have to be patient enough to allow the child be. Then tactfully make the child talk, because most times the child will not talk. The uncle or the person abusing the child must have threatened the child.
Yes.
If you say anything, I am going to kill you. They will go as far as that.
Yes.
If you say anything, I'm going to kill you. Or if you say anything, if it's the ones that will not threaten, buying the child stuff, you understand?
Yeah.
Buying the child expensive gifts. I say, if you tell mommy that I'm touching you inappropriately, I'm not going to buy those things for you again.
Yes.
You understand? So if you start noticing these things, the first thing is draw the child close.
All right.
And that is where sex education actually comes in.
Okay.
You have to be able to educate your child as early as possible on sex education.
Okay.
There are some touch that are inappropriate. There are body boundaries that should not be crossed.
Yes.
If you've explained that to your child, you've taken time to tutor your child on that, then when the abuse is coming, the child, even if it hasn't gotten to the point of real intercourse or rape now, the child will be able to tell you something that an abuse is coming from this person. You understand? So show love to the child. All right. And let the child come out. Then the next thing, if it has physical injuries, now if there are physical injuries attached to it, you take the child to the hospital, let them give proper.
All right. So now we've been able to establish what to do to the victim. What do you do to the offender?
The offender should be punished.
Okay, absolutely.
The offender should be punished. That is why we shouldn't keep quiet.
Okay.
And that is why even we tell kids, always report when the abuse is coming at the initial stage, because there's always a grooming process.
Yes.
The abuser will not just come overnight, not especially if it's a relative or somebody close to the child. It won't just come overnight and carry out the act. There's always a grooming process.
Yes.
Bringing a child close, you understand, trying to break the boundaries, you understand. Now, when these things are happening, we encourage the child to speak out.
All right.
Now, when the child speak out, parents don't shun the child.
All right.
Pick it up and report it. There are agencies like NAPTIP that you can report to. You can take the case to the police, they will follow it up.
Right.
And there are NGOs that, like our NGO now, once you make that kind of report to us, we pick it up and make, because if you don't deal with the abuser will do it again to another child.
Of course.
And we do it again to another child. Once they get away with the first one, they will try with the second one, and before you know, they will just be destroying lives.
Okay.
You understand? They will be destroying lives because the effect of abuse, there are immediate effects and there are long-term effects.
Yes.
Most people suffer from the effect for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely.
You understand? They will bottle it up and they will just be dying silently. Nobody to talk to. Nobody will be, even if they even say it, people will not believe them.
Yes.
You understand? So there's so much of emotion and psychological effect of it. That's why we have to make sure. The law says if an abuser is caught, if an adult raped a minor, the person is liable, when prosecuted, liable to 14 years in prison.
All right, but you talk about reporting and all of that, like in glowing terms, like, but we've had cases of people who have reported abusers, and because of maybe the position that abuser holds in the society, because of some form of affluence that they have, we've seen them settle with the parents of the minor. In this case might be poor. We've seen cases where they've settled out of court. They'll say, we'll give them this X amount of money. And imagine that a child who had to go through, all of that horror, is made to just say, forget about it because money has exchanged hands, and what does that say to that child? That, of course, that offender, justice has not been served. So
sure.
What can we do to ensure that justice is really served? We don't want people, pedophiles and all of that, of sexual offenders roaming around the street, knowing fully well that they can pay somebody off, or they can sweep it under the carpet because of their positions.
Okay. Now, if you report, well, in this case, we say don't report to only one person. That's okay. If you're reporting to the police, let it not be only the police.
All right.
You understand?
Okay.
I'm so sure if you take it to an NGO that is involved in fighting for the rights of a child, they will definitely take it up. If the police is being bribed, the NGO will not be compromised. You understand? Then if you take it to NAPTIP, that one's another case. So try and report to different people that can help you fight for justice. Because if you sweep it under the carpet, it will do a lot of damage. Most especially to that child and others that will be victims.
All right, absolutely. All right, if in case you have questions for Cyril Isi, who is the director of TotalChild Children and Teens Network, today on the show we're talking about child sexual abuse. We've looked at the symptoms, we've looked at the causes, we've looked at some of the resultant effects and all of that. And if you've got questions, please feel free to send your questions via SMS or call the phone lines at 0905-769-2791. All right, we're going to wrap up very soon, but very quickly, it seems to me like this whole sexual abuse thing seems to be, is it like it's on the rise, or because of the advent of social media we get to hear more about it? Because you flip the pages of the newspaper, there's a 40-year-old man or 60-year-old man raping a 5-year-old girl, and vice, or a 30-year-old man raping a 1-year-old girl. Is it like it's on the rise now? And if it's on the rise, why? Or it's just because we have access to social media, access to technology that is making us see some of these happenings?
It has always been there.
Okay.
I would say it's on the rise, but really not like it's just coming up now. It has always been there. Social media has kind of help people to hear about it. I can just type it on my phone and the whole thing will go viral. That wasn't like before. Okay. You understand? But the truth is, we still have this thing happening on a daily basis. Every now and then, children are being abused by adults. Okay. And the more we create awareness, the more people are being made to come out and talk. And because people are being made to talk, you understand? That is why they are coming out now. Even those ones that have been abused years back, they are coming out. It's okay, I was abused as a child. You understand? And it's even a part of the healing process too.
Right.
You know, when you talk about it, it helps you to heal. So people are coming out to talk because awareness is being created. A lot of NGOs are taking it up. You know, talk. Let's prosecute those that
I'm glad you mentioned that more people are coming out and all of that. And of course, I know that this case that made the rounds, the Fatu Imbo case and all of that, and how it was, the court handled it, saying that it happened over a period of time for someone who maybe didn't have the courage back then to talk about it, and now as someone maybe because of this support system that they have, of the place that they are right now, and they come out to say, what would you say to that person? Is it still okay to talk about it, even if that happened after a long time, a long period of time? It's
very, very okay to talk about it because bottling it up, we keep hurting you.
All right.
Whenever you remember that episode, you always feel bad. But if you speak out, even if you are not looking for justice, you might not even know where the person that did it to you is. You understand? But the fact that you open up and share it with other people, it helps your own healing process.
Absolutely.
That is why we say people should speak out. And people will also learn from your own experience. You understand? People will learn. But there are different strategies that the abusers use.
Okay.
The strategy they apply to one person, they may not use the same strategy on another person.
Yeah.
So by coming out to share your experience, it will make parents, caregivers, teachers, and those that work with children to be alert. And it will also give us stories to tell when we are talking to younger people. I'm talking about people now that goes about creating awareness.
All right.
But mostly it helps the healing process for the abused.
All right, one last word for parents, for victims, and of course, a note of warning for offenders.
Okay, for parents, please, we want to encourage our parents to please educate their child as early as possible. Teach them about body boundaries. Teach them not to keep quiet or keep body secrets. When somebody is touching them inappropriately, parents should encourage their kids to speak up. You understand? The awareness should be created first by the parents. If the kids know that they can easily discuss issues that has to do with their sex, private issues with their parents, they will speak up. But when they are being shown, maybe a child is saying, "Mommy, what is this?" And the mommy is saying, "Keep quiet, you are too young to start talking about it." When the abuse will start, the child will not want to say anything. Then for those that have been abused, we say, please share your stories.
All right.
Even if you want to do it, like you don't want people to know it's you, you can use another name, put it on social media, let people hear about it. It will help you to heal, and it will also help other people to speak up. And those people that have been abused, when they speak up, they will get justice too. Then for those that are in the business of abusing younger ones, judgment is coming. Sooner or later, the arm of the law will catch up with you and you'll find yourself in jail. And it's 14 years imprisonment. All
right, so let's quickly talk about your organization, how if somebody needs to contact you, your organization, phone numbers and all of that.
Okay. Like I said earlier, like it was said earlier from the TotalChild Children and Things Network, we work with children in different ways. But one of the major ways we work with children is create awareness about issues that affect children. So if you are being sexually abused or you know somebody that is being abused, you can reach us on 081 8049 5451. Let me take that again. 081 8049 5451. You can just get across to us. We will take it up. We work with lawyers in the house that will definitely make sure you get justice. If you are being abused or you know someone that is being abused, just get in touch with us and we will take it up.
Thank you very much, Cyril Isi, Director of TotalChild Children and Teens Network. The number once again is 081-8049-5451. Don't keep quiet, talk about it. If you know someone or if you're being abused, it's important that together we talk about it and let justice be served. And of course, thank you very much, Cyril, for having stopped by the studio today. I'm sure that someone out there has learned something, and of course going forward together we can help kick out this menace. Thank you very much.
Thank you for
I'll go
having me.
back to the rest of the show. It's still The Zone on Lead Radio 1063.